Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've uploaded. It's because of school. I've slowed down on my reading, so I'm averaging a book every like week and a half, 2 weeks, rather than, during the summer I'd average a couple books a week. But I did finally finish Dark Age by Pierce Brown, and for the Red Rising series has just gotten better every single book. The first one is my least favorite, then the second one, then the third one, then the fourth one, and now this fifth one is my absolute favorite. I loved almost every single aspect of this book. The character, the plot, the story, everything about this was just superb. This book kept me on edge the entire time. I never quite felt safe or quite felt comfortable with the position the characters were in. Even in the supposed lighter moments where our characters were in control and they got this, there was always that feeling at the back of your mind that something was about to go very, very wrong. And that's partially because of how smart the enemies in this book are. Sometimes with series, especially in series where your opponents are this huge, powerful entity, they're not very smart because that gives your heroes a chance to kind of sneak in and defeat them. Not here. Our opponents are incredibly smart. They're incredibly cunning. They're incredibly vicious, and all of that leads to them being you never quite feel safe with what they're currently doing because you know that something very bad is working in the background. And then especially they seem so much more powerful in this book. Unlike the last one where it seemed almost like they were kind of on the run and being hunted down one by one by the Republic, here they seem to definitely have the upper hand in a lot of respects, which just made this absolutely amazing. There were a lot of character deaths in here that I was not ready for. That Pierce Brown has that almost Sanderson-esque quality of being able to rip your heart out and stomp on it. And that was just as true in this book. The fighting scenes, like the huge battles, were just as amazing as ever. Got your really heart-pounding, and each time we had this huge combat, because in the very beginning you have this very big battle, and you're like, how could he ever top that? And then each time you think he just can't top what he wrote before, and yet this book somehow manages to get better each and every farther and farther and farther on as you get in the book. As you get into the book, with the final conflict in this book being one of the best that I think Pierce Brown has written in the Red Rising series. In addition to that, the characters are stretched to their absolute limits. Seeing our characters and seeing these heroes that we've come to love, even these villains that we've come to love to hate, seeing them stretched to the absolute limits of what they're willing to do, of what they have to do in order to survive, in order to succeed, has just been amazing. Dark Age kept me gripped from beginning to end. I just did not want to put this book down. It was amazing. In addition to that, I will say one amazing thing, especially with the second trilogy of Red Rising, I loved the political debate and political conflict that has arisen from the Republic, and then now there's multiple factions in the galaxy, and how they interact with each other, and how especially this proto-democracy in the Republic competing with compared to the society and the interlaced structures has been really interesting to see. That political debate and political discussion is one of my favorite parts of not only Red Rising, but a lot of series that I have read, and it has just been taken to another level here in Dark Age. We see a lot of that kind of almost political process that we didn't even see in Iron Gold, with Virginia in the very beginning of the novel. And once again, just something that's absolutely been amazing. Something kind of fun about this book is I also got my friend into reading Red Rising, so I've been able to talk to him about the earlier books while I'm reading this book. But Dark Age has absolutely must recommend. Everyone should, if you like sci-fi, this book is phenomenal, and I highly, highly, highly recommend that you pick it up. Well, read the rest of the series first, but then pick up this book. It is amazing. But I will see you in a second for my spoiler-filled thoughts. Alright, so for my spoiler-filled thoughts of Dark Age, I guess I will start with Darrow. We'll go through all of Darrow's arc throughout this story. The Battle of Mercury at the very beginning was incredible. So you start with probably like maybe 200 pages of exposition. Yeah, so probably about 50 to 100 pages, probably 50 to 100 pages of getting ready for this huge invasion. Darrow first landing on Mercury and just preparing this planet for Atlanta and Atlas in this huge attack that's going to go down. And just seeing the slow burn of Darrow just picking up, of Darrow making some controversial choices when it comes to the Storm Gods and how he's structuring this defense, until, as well as we see Lysander's perspective as Atlanta and Atlas are preparing for an invasion of their own, and then kind of like that finally flip the switch moment as the society just descends from the sky, and just my heart was racing the entire time I read this section. It was nonstop action, yet it was all distinctive nonstop. It was all like almost distinctive nonstop, if that makes sense, where we have these definitive moments and these definitive battles that help separate it so it doesn't all blur together. The Storm Gods and an Iron Rain during the Storm Gods is such a amazing setting for a battle. You just have these huge hurricanes, thunder, lightning, rain, sandstorms in the interior, that just make for such a phenomenal setting for an invasion. And I just loved it. It was just so exciting to read through, seeing Darrow overcome the odds and win. Yes, he lost a lot of men, but so did his opponents, and it was just exciting all the way through. I hate Lysander, so it was also awesome to see Lysander have his stuff handed to him. But all of the moments, I mean, the moving of the Morning Star, everything was just amazing. Pierce Brown managed to just structure it so well to make it such an amazing scene. However, there were some having to kill Orion hurt a lot. It makes sense why having to send Alexander into Taish, I think it was, in order to save its citizens. But so despite the fact that Darrow won, there were so many heartbreaking moments throughout it, and just that give and take is what makes me love Pierce Brown's writing. We have the super triumphant moment, and the losses make it significant, which I really enjoyed that. Then it's kind of Darrow. We kind of flash away from Darrow for a little bit to deal with stuff within the Republic, but then kind of them just sitting there, them having to sit there and wait for their opportunity to try to make their escape, and just see, like I said, just another slow burn of tensions rising and fraying, and everything just. They've got one small shot and they have to make it work. Lysander's, intrusions into that and his own manipulation to stop them from being able to do that. The interesting bond he forms with Alexander and his group was great. Seeing Lysander change. Now he's still horrible. I still don't like him, but the change made him, at least more enjoyable to listen to. And they just that betrayal of the Master Maker, on Mercury just hit so hard. And then, like I said, one of the greatest battles in the entire series is, this low tech, low power battle in Heliopolis was amazing. Darrow and just doing everything they possibly can and still getting overrun, and then finally at the very end being saved by Cassius, and it just all came together. Darrow's story came together phenomenally, and then getting to see Darrow take a step back and being like, I've made all of these choices. I've pushed my own moral boundaries so far. I need to take a step back and let them choose for this once. If they want to die, go ahead. If they want to surrender, they can go ahead. And just having him take a step back was really, really exciting to see. Moving over, I guess, to Virginia, like I said, the politicking in the very beginning of Virginia's section was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. Pierce Brown has a way to make that politicking interesting, that kind of those exchanges and deals interesting to read, and then I knew, I mean, even when things started to go right, you know, for a Pierce Brown book that things are about to go very, very wrong. And so just that sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach as she slowly accumulates the votes and the support she needs. Virginia slowly accumulates the support and the votes that she needs in order to send aid to Darrow. And then just the heart-wrenching scene where Daxo is killed and the Senate is overrun and Mustang is captured, and just all of it is just like get you right here. And and then following that, her captivity, find the Jackal, which is just awful and gross, and I don't want him. I hate that he's back. But even that was so well written. Her escape and her dominance of Mars at the very end, just all of it. It was just as enjoyable as Darrow's sections for a completely different reason. I enjoyed Darrow's because of the character and the military strategy and the combat, versus I enjoyed hers for the politicking and just all of these different reasons to like both of these sections kind of together. In addition, seeing several completely unhinged was quite the thing to see, and it was just super well written and a super enjoyable stretch of book. Which brings me to probably the weakest, there's two sections left. Both of them I would consider on the weaker end. They were still really enjoyable, and I really liked them, but there were some things that kind of held them back for me. I guess I'll start with Lyra and Volga and their quest. They are currently trapped on Victra's ship, and then the Ascomani attack, and really, really heart-racing scene. I'm not the biggest Lyra fan. Just as a character, I think she just doesn't hit it for me as much as some of the other characters in the book. She was a great counter perspective in the previous book, countering the perspective of mostly elites that we see. But here, I just kind of, in the very beginning, she kind of grated on me a little bit. However, when she was in the cell at least, once they escape the cell and they make it down to the planet, that's pretty much gone. And while Volga is still the highlight of that for me, Lyra definitely kind of increases in my own personal opinion, especially as we get to the Red Hand and how she's able to, convince these girls and how she's able to kind of undermine them from the inside to eventually lead to the death of Harmony. Victra also. Shocking, Victra did not grate on me as much as she typically does. I'm not the biggest Victra fan in the story, but I think that she was perfectly passable here. She didn't annoy me too much. Great character, especially as a mother, and I think I like her better in that respect than when she's just insane, which she seems to be most of the rest of the time. And so that was also kind of a highlight. So that just wasn't a negative for me. The whole raid on the Red Hand base, the death of Harmony, and then eventually that final huge sweep as Mars comes in to destroy them was just such an amazing moment. Once again, same highs and lows. Just overall, I just didn't get the same excitement that I did from the other two stories, but it was perfectly fine. My least favorite part was definitely Ephraim, Pax, and Elektra, mostly because it's just kind of dry for a long stretch of time, and I just wasn't the biggest fan of the characters involved in the Obsidian arc. Pax, Elektra, and Ephraim are all really great characters. I really enjoyed their contributions to the story. However, I didn't like the Obsidian tribe. I just felt like Sephi and Valgir and whoever the shaman was and Xenophile, they just did not click for me. It was just kind of a very slow and not as enjoyable stretch of book. It definitely picked up once they went on the raids, and Ephraim and the shaman kind of grew on me together. But it just overall just did not appeal to me. The Ascomanti just as a concept didn't hit as hard as I kind of wanted to. I mean, this crazy evolved obsidian race from out in the galaxy, from out from the rim. It just did not, I just didn't click with it as much as I would have hoped, and that was probably the biggest detractor from the story. It's just I wasn't the biggest fan of that segment. Now, once Ephraim goes and leaves to help Lyra, and then kind of the final confrontation with Fa was really great. Ephraim sacrificing himself and all of that was really enjoyable. It's just that tribe in itself I wasn't a big fan of that, and just I didn't really enjoy how the Obsidians how the Obsidians were treated, how that whole story was treated. Just kind of felt bland and I wouldn't say bland and uninspired. It was definitely, it's great world building, but it just felt, compared to the huge standards that Pierce Brown, the bar is super high for his world building, and I feel like the Obsidian tribe missed the mark. And so despite the fact that I like Pax, Electra, and Ephraim, everything around them kind of brought down their portion of the story. But that was really one of the only slower portions of the book. The main parts were like those were the chapters that I would be, all right, I'll put the book down and go do something else now. Those were the chapters where that kind of happened for me. But overall, like I said, I love this book. Pierce Brown just continues to deliver again and again and again and again, and I'm super excited to read Lightbringer after I finish with my current books. I guess progress on my current books, I'm about 20%. I'm about closing in on 30% done with Winter's Heart, the 9th Wheel of Time book. So I'll get you. That'll be my first Wheel of Time review on this channel. So I'll finish that. Probably give me a week and a half for that. I have about only 100 pages left with Empire for the Vampire. I took a break on that one, but I'll get that done soon. And then after that, I'm going to be reading Lightbringer. And so look out for those reviews. In the next coming months, I'll probably end up only doing reviews once every 2 weeks. Like I said, I'm slowing down for the school year, except 2 more weeks, and the final Stormlight Archive book in the First Era is coming in. So you better believe I'm going to read that in 5 days and put out a review for you for that. So look out for 3 weeks, and 2 weeks, and you'll probably get either Winter's Heart or Empire of the Vampire review, and then a week later, I will get you a Wind and Truth review. But thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed my content, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.